Photo Voice is a documentary photography process that basically equips participants with a camera and a form of photography training, sends them out into the community to sort of use that as a process to capture their voice. Photo Voice is frequently used as a means of bringing about social change, and often will give participants an opportunity to have a voice on a particular community issue that maybe they believe they don't have a voice. It's a process that allows them to sort of focus in on a particular subject area and works through a process of captioning their thoughts along with the photos.
My main job was to teach the girls all about photography in a week. We had to start by showing them how to use the camera. We talked about composition. We taught them how to use Photoshop, and then we showed the girls how to make prints using inkjet printers. And when I was first asked to do this workshop, I knew one of the biggest hurdles we would have, the biggest challenges would be to teach the girls the difference between taking a snapshot and taking what we call a photograph.
The iPhoto project is experiential, not just didactic. The girls had already been through 2 programs before this. One was the mask project, where they were looking at their fear masks and their power masks. And the other one was how not to date a jerk or jerkette. And the point of both of those programs were to help the girls identify how to be strong, how to be powerful, and how to have healthy relationships. And also to identify things that might be red flags in not so healthy relationships. So this first assignment was to start to think about what they knew and what they didn't know about themselves, and how they could use a camera to portray that, how they could use a camera to talk about themselves and to show who they were. We talked about metaphor, we talked about symbols, we talked about how to portray this with staging or using prompts, and the girls did all of that. My feeling is the self-portrait was the one where they probably did the best job of exposing themselves. They did the best job of showing all of that.
We took the process a little more in depth than what most of your Photo Voice projects do, in that instead of providing 1 or 2 hours of training on documentary photography, we worked with Dr. Alan Mills from Berea College, and the students actually came to the college for 5 days, 5 consecutive days, and spent half a day each day working through a photography process. They learned all about digital photography and Photoshop and much more extensive training than they would have received typically in a Photo Voice project. They were equipped with digital cameras, and at the completion of the program, they were able to keep those cameras to continue their work in the community of really finding their voice. The other piece that's a little different from most Photo Voice projects is, instead of just using a standard facilitator, we actually brought in a licensed professional counselor, Carol Peachy, from within the Berea community, and she interacted with Dr. Mills during the photography training piece in the morning, in the latter part, really working with the students as they were doing their editing. Why are these things important? Why do you want to change this image? Why do you want to remove this piece? Why do you like this photo the best? Really starting to kind of mold what their voice was, and she worked through a continued process of helping them caption their photos and find the true meaning of the photo and giving those students a voice. The theme for the program was all about teen dating, obviously. So we kind of molded that a little bit into more like teen relationships and family relationships. So the first day they were given the opportunity to go home and take photos of self-portraits of themselves, and then they would take photos the next night of community, and then move to taking pictures of family, and finally relationships and dating relationships. So it was just a really great process to watch the interaction between the photography training as well as the whole counseling therapeutic approach to really equip these girls with a voice, and the outcome was just phenomenal.
When I got the opportunity to teach photography for Photo Voice, I was real excited. I thought it was a great idea to take photography and take cameras and teach young girls how to communicate with the camera. It's such a powerful medium that I just saw all kinds of opportunities. And you could see the girls progressing throughout the week. Every time they came to class, they would shoot in the evening. They'd bring their photographs to class, and as the week on, they went on. They got better and better, and you could really see that they were learning how to use the camera to communicate their ideas and to show people what they were thinking and feeling.
So on the self portraits, I think one of the photographs to me that showed that the girls understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to use a photograph because this is such a visual world that this generation is growing up in. Not as much with writing, you know, I mean, even books are e-books, but it's very visual. There's YouTube, there's videos. I mean, most things are seen and expressed visually, which sometimes has a verbal content and sometimes does not have a verbal content. And that works really well with working with the psyche or working with what's unconscious, because things get exposed that they then, even in their artist statement, would sometimes struggle with trying to put a verbal content towards. So for example, in the self-portrait that was done by Tara, shows just her face with her hair in a kind of wild way, and her asking her, what do you think this photograph shows? What do you think you're trying to express here? You know, at first she's unable to verbalize that, but later is able to go to it and say, I think my hair shows what's really going on with me on the inside, maybe even better than I would be able to tell somebody. And I said, so what's going on the inside? And she was feeling a lot of conflict, and she was feeling very sad and very frustrated at the moment. And in fact, her hair is all kind of frustrated and conflicted on the outside. So the girls really got what they were supposed to do.